Hi, I'm Kris Cole. I teach at one of the local high schools here in Central Florida. I actually teach environmental science, thus the reason you can see the scrub jays in the picture above. Um, the school I teach at right now, we have just under 4,000 kids. I've taught every level from the lowest standard classes to the most advanced classes for college credit. I've taught ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th. I've been an assistant principal at the middle school level. So this video is really geared towards grades 6 through 12. I believe some of the tips are probably geared or useful for elementary schools as well. Again, some of those are transferable. The battle is won before it even begins. I'm a big believer in planning, and what I want to share with you is the things I'm going to do before I start my first day of my 25th year. So here goes. Hopefully you pick up a few tips. It's very nice to meet you, and I'm going to release several additional videos. Some of those videos are going to go into much greater depth. Like when we talk about lesson plans in this, I'll just briefly touch on them, but I'll have a whole presentation just on lesson plans later. Nice to meet you. All right, this is a neat little trick I learned years and years ago. I think I picked it up from a video or something where I was watching a veteran teacher give some tips that I picked up on. So here goes. One of the things I suggest, it's not a definite must, but I do suggest is that if possible, place your desk in the back of the room. Seems a little counterintuitive. Most people have seen all the TV shows and stuff. The desk is always in the front. A lot of times in classes yourselves, you may have seen a teacher with a desk in the front. But if you put your desk in the back, it allows you to have better classroom discipline. One, the students are a little more cognizant that you're back there. And two, generally they'll give you a tell before they misbehave. And here it is. This is really cool stuff if you try it. Usually students will turn around and look at the teacher before they're going to do something silly, before they're going to make a mistake, before they're going to cause some kind of chaos or throw a paper wad or something. So true story. I was sitting there teaching one day. Typically what I'll do is I'll get everybody on task. And then once everybody's working, if I know they're going to be writing for the next 15 or 20 minutes, I might walk back to my desk, sit down and take roll or do some paperwork or grade a paper or two. So I'll go back and sit at my desk. Of course, one of the things you're going to want to do is circulate regularly. But when you do take a seat, students will typically turn around and look before they do something. So three football players turn around and look at me, and I make eye contact with them, and I tell them, guys, whatever you're about to do, it's a mistake. Do not do it. Just assume that I already know what you're going to do and that you're going to get in trouble for it, so don't do it. And their mouths dropped, and they go, how did you know? And I didn't tell them that students always turn around before they to see what the teacher is doing before they get into mischief. I just looked at them and go, guys, I know what you're going to do before you even do it. And they're just like, okay. And no paper wads were thrown. Situation was handled, and we had a nice little chuckle at it. So again, you can see in this picture above, one girl is whispering to another, thinking about getting to a little bit of mischief. So the moment you see that, intervene immediately and let them know, prevent it before it even happens. And it stuns them and builds you some really serious credibility very quickly. So if you do that, enjoy. It's a nice little trick, and it freaks the kids out and instantly builds you a little bit of credibility with them. Before school even begins, you need to decide what are your 3 or 4 rules that you're not negotiable on. Obviously, you want to follow all of the rules that your school has. You don't want to be the teacher who allows everyone to come in late and that all the other teachers get upset with because you're not enforcing the rules. But you have a little bit of leeway and a little bit of latitude with that. So you need to pick 3 or 4 things that are really non-negotiables for you that just can't happen in the classroom. And for me, there's really one. I simply believe in the golden rule. I tell the kids that you are going to be treated the way that you treat others. And I tell them, if you treat me with respect, you'll receive respect back in return. If you don't, then we have a problem and we're going to fix it. Now, whether that involves parent phone calls or referrals to discipline, we will get it fixed, but there will be respect. So for me, again, it comes down to I have one non-negotiable, which is everyone treats each other with respect, and then we figure the rest of it out. And then there's usually 4 or 5 school rules that I will put up on the wall that are important, just to reiterate it so that I'm on the same page with all the other teachers. So keep that in mind, is figure out what is a non-negotiable for you, make sure the kids know that, and put it up on the wall. Also, obviously a decorated classroom, and this probably, especially for new teachers, you guys are going to be jacked up, jazzed, and ready to go and probably have these things decorated to hilt. But veteran teachers like myself, we may need to get a little motivation to get the classroom decorated. I particularly like to put a lot of pictures of the students doing things up on the wall so they can kind of see what's coming over the course of the year. And then they get excited when they see their friends from last year or the year before. And that builds you a little bit of credibility too. Once you have a couple of years worth of pictures, the fact that you taught, somebody who was a big senior 3 years ago that was the football hero, the kids instantly, they're like, oh, you must be cool then. So keep that in mind. So decorate and make sure the kids know your rules and have them posted. The seating chart. In my opinion, one of the 2 or 3 most powerful tools in a teacher's toolbox. So it's imperative you have a seating chart. Matter of fact, I'm not sure I even understand why some teachers don't have seating charts. It's a very, very powerful tool for discipline, for learning names. You can use it to negotiate with students, maybe give them a free Friday where they can move around if they earn it. So it's a great negotiation tool. If you really, really want to be impressive, and some teachers who are really, really gung-ho and motivated will actually take a seating chart and print out the pictures of each of the students so that they know the names of the students before they even arrive. You want to talk about freaking out students and really impressing them? Greet them with their name the moment they walk into the class on day one. They'll know you're not playing. I'm not that motivated. I use the seating chart as a tool to learn their names, um, but it's an incredibly powerful tool. And I'm going to spend an entire YouTube lesson just talking about using the seating chart as a tool. But I would highly recommend that you print out the classroom roster a couple of days before or the day before, because there'll be changes, class, and then write each of the names down on the seating chart as to where you want them to sit. A lot of times I have fun with them. They'll walk in and say, "Do we have a seating chart?" And I tell them, "I'll decide when I get in there." And then, of course, when I get in there, I tell them where they're sitting. But I like to get an indication of who my kids are that gravitate towards the very back of the classroom, because for whatever reason, they may not want to be there. And I know I need to build rapport with these kids pretty quickly. The kids who sit in the front, I know those are my kids who are highly motivated. I'll build rapport with them as well. But the kids who sit in the back, a little bit of a red flag on day one that I like to figure out who they are. All right, enjoy using that as a tool. Lesson plans. Obviously, an incredibly important tool that you're going to use every year. Everyone has a different idea on what lesson plans should be. In a nutshell, my opinion on this came from an assistant principal I had my first year. And she told me, she goes, "Kris, essentially what I want from your lesson plans is if we have a substitute teacher, can they look at the plan and understand what you're trying to do so that they can teach it if you're not there?" That's kind of the litmus test, and I agree with her on that. But let's talk about your week one lesson plans. In my opinion, you should probably be at least 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the students as far as lesson plans go. So try to get your first 3 or 4 weeks done before school even begins. That way, if you get sick or something and you're out a week, you're not behind the 8 ball. Your day one lesson plan should look something like this. Essentially on my first day, um, I want to implement my seating chart. I want to go over my rules or as we talked about, my one rule. And I want to talk to them about grading, how the grading works, answer any questions they have. And then I need to be flexible because the first week of school, if you've not done it, you're going to have kids coming, going. You need to be incredibly flexible with the first week of school. Um, and then I have two more things that are important to me. And the same assistant principal that I talked about with lesson plans, she said, I don't care if you learn a single thing on day one. But she said, what I do want you to do is do something cool with the kids that they get excited about your class. And we'll talk about that. I'll talk about what I'm going to do on day one on my next slide. So make sure that you have your lesson plans in place and do something really cool to get the kids excited. And then the last thing I like to do is I like to get to know them. I hand out note cards to every kid, and then I ask them about 10 questions. What's your name? Where do you want to go to college? Who's your favorite sports team? What's your favorite movie? Just a lot of questions about them. Hey, I get a pretty good idea on of what movies I should be watching that I've missed on Netflix to get caught up on, what TV series I want to get up on. I also know that things that are relevant to them, so if I can relate something to a show they watched or something, that's important. So I'm building rapport, and I want to get to know them. And I also will go over my note card with them, and so they get an idea to know who I am. So build a little rapport. So first day, establish your rules, um, put in your seating chart in place, and get them excited. Make them excited about how you're going to come back. Why am I going to come back to this class tomorrow? And we'll talk about that. I'm going to tell you in a minute why they're going to come back to my class on day two. And then build some rapport with them, starting on day one. All right, day one. You want to get the kids excited. For me, it's easy. I have all sorts of cool animals in the classroom, and I will usually take a cool animal out, walk around the classroom, and usually I'll let the kids touch it if they want. Specifically, in this case, we have a classroom snake. Um, in this picture that you see right here, that's a hognose snake. Now, hognose snakes are really, really cool. If you don't know anything about hognose snakes, they do two things that other snakes don't do. One, they act like a cobra, even though they're considered harmless. They will puff up and act like a cobra and start hissing the kids love it. And the second thing is when that doesn't work, believe it or not, and I couldn't make this up, you need to find a hognose snake, they'll roll over and play dead. And because they're a reptile and not very intelligent, if you roll them right side up, they'll roll back over upside down. So really, really cool, cool snake. We also have a king snake in the classroom that a lot of times I'll take out. And you can also see in the picture, there's a chameleon in this picture. So for me, I will find an animal in the classroom, take it out, and do a show and tell with the kids, and they always get excited. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, Cole, that's because you have so many things that you can do." Well, I mean, if I was teaching chemistry, I might do a hydrogen explosion. If I was teaching history, I might pull out an artifact. What got you excited to teach this subject area? Whatever got you excited to teach this subject area, do something with it. The kids love it. If you go in there excited, they can't help to be excited. So for me, I love catching lizards. I'll bring in random lizards and the kids love it. So if you're an English teacher, um, go into class in costume of your favorite character, or read some poetry or something that got you excited. What is it that got you excited about this particular subject area that you've devoted your life to it? There's got to be something that got you jazzed up. So use it to get the kids fired up on day one. All right, little veteran teacher tip there. Don't worry about them executing any kind of uh, standards. Just get them excited so they want to be there day two, and then you can start rolling out the standards. You've endured me this long, so I'm going to throw in one last tip, especially for our first year teachers. Pretty much everybody else already knows this, but Get to school 15 to 20 minutes early on day one and probably for most of the first week. You're going to have kids who don't get picked up at the bus and their parents have to bring them in. You've got parents who are going to try to drop their kids off and will invariably give up after a week or two of fighting the traffic and put their kids on the bus. You've got a lot of kids who don't know where they're going. Um, it's just chaotic. So be prepared for mass chaos. And to save yourself some stress, just get there 15 to 20 minutes early. And if you're running late, don't freak out. Don't get in an accident with one of the kids or something. We got you. The veteran teachers will chip in and we'll get your classroom covered until you get there. Things do happen. All right. If you have learned anything from this video, please click the like button. If you want to go into deeper dives on a lot of information, things like seating charts and lesson plans and discipline techniques into much more detail, please subscribe and we'll go over some of those things. Give you one thing I'm thinking about going over is positive phone calls home. Nobody does it. Probably less than 5% of teachers call parents about positive things. And it's such a powerful tool. If you make contact with something positive before you call about something negative, parents will come to your aid and absolutely back you on that. So we'll talk about that. I'll tell you some true stories that were mind blowing that came from that. So thank you for your time. And I'm proud to stand with you and teach with you. You're all heroes. We're all here trying to make the world a better place by teaching the kids to be productive citizens. So thank you for what you do. And again, look forward to talking with you in the future.